Hi, welcome to Ask Bishop Zac. We have a really great question coming in from Abu. He starts by saying, I really enjoy the sessions of Ask Bishop Zac. In Islam, a person of knowledge is always looked for difficult questions.
Oh, wow.
And I think this podcast is long time overdue. So he says, now here is his question. Christians often say that they are not under the law, yet when it comes to tithing, they say we must give 10%. So does the 10% tithe teaching come from Jesus? And did Jesus or the disciples ever give the 10%? And if the 10% giving is biblical, are we obliged to give it just to our local churches? I'm not sure my local church needs the 10%. Can we not give it to churches or ministries that are less fortunate than our churches? Why tithe just the 10%?
Wow. Abu, why are you doing this to me? It's such a huge, massive question. So really, a 6-minute reflection can't do justice to it. But let me try. First of all, I think to limit the 10% Old Testament teaching to the law is to misread the Old Testament because it's pre-Mosaic law. It's you get the sense from the Old Testament that actually this originates within the Abrahamic, the Abraham. But secondly, to think that all giving in the Old Testament is about 10% is also to misread the Old Testament because the tithers were only one form of giving. There were thanksgiving offerings, there were harvest offerings, there were offerings to the poor, and the tithe, of course, was generally preserved for those who did not participate in any meaningful way in the economy. Who were those? The widow, the orphan, the foreigner, and the Levite. So this was food. That's why I think it's in Malachi where it says there should be food in the store. So this food was literally, there was actually storehouses where the food would be put so that there was enough food for the. So the tithe is God's way of making sure that the people who are not included within the economy are really included by the people of God. But that's not all. You're to give thanksgiving offering, harvest offerings. I mean, you get the sense that any and every opportunity to give, the people of God are to share the resources that God has given to them. Why? Because everything comes from God. King David gives a great example and says that everything comes from him. And so to him, so we really don't have liberty. Even within the Old Testament, what we do with everything that we have. Let's put it this way. Even within the Old Testament, 100% belongs to God. It's given to us stewardship, to be stewards, to use for his glory, for his honor. So of course, the Old Testament law does provide what is it that honors God, those kinds of offerings. Now, you come to the New Testament, the same spirit is continuing. Jesus says, I came to fulfill the law. What does that mean? Both the spirit and the law. Jesus doesn't, we can take it for granted. To the extent that Jesus and his disciples were Jewish people, they attended the synagogue regularly. And you get the sense that Jesus kept the customs and the practices and the rituals. We know that he kept, for example, the Sabbath day. He kept the laws around Passover. So we can safely assume that if he had any wealth, as his father did and others, they would have participated actively and effectively as Jewish people in the life of the synagogue, in the life of the temple, when the opportunity arose. So that certainly included 10%, but it also included more and much more. So it is for us to teach that the requirement for believers is to give 10%, and 90% you can choose what you do with it. That is false. That's not what the scriptures teach, whether Old Testament or New Testament. Everything we have belongs to God. It's given to us as stewardship for us to enjoy and for others to enjoy. Now, what does that mean in the New Testament, therefore? To limit, and really I do not know. I think that pastors love the 10% teaching, because people are generally hard of hearing. People generally respond to fear. So you must tell them, if you don't give 10%, you'll not be blessed.
It's a guaranteed money.
People really love love fear, but also rewards. And we do not realize that it's enough to be children of God. So Paul gives a great example in 2 Corinthians chapter 8 about the church, the Philippian church, the churches of Macedonia. These were poor. They couldn't even count 10%. You know, there is a sense in which the 10% is really preserved for the rich. Only those who have so much wealth can 10%.
Can actually calculate.
Yeah. But Paul says the Philippians, the Macedonian churches, didn't have much. However, they gave so much. In fact, Paul says they gave so much we were worried they were keeping nothing for themselves. And we said, stop. And the Macedonian church said, no, Paul. We are so privileged to participate in the work of the gospel in whichever way we can. The spirit, therefore, of the New Testament, as of the Old, is generosity. Because grace is not a concept of the New Testament. God is always God of grace and love. So it is the same. So 10%, the bare minimum. But why are we sticking with the bare minimum? And then secondly, I think the limiting it to church, again, as I said, is failure to understand. Even when it's left in church, we need to ask, what do the churches do with it? Because we have poor people, kids who are not educated. They are in our churches. In the Acts of the Apostles, you even read a phrase, there were no poor among them. They were so generous. So why do we have poor in our churches? We should be giving more and more and more. There are some people who should be giving 90% because they can live on 10%. You know? So, really, and there are some who can give 95% because 5% is so much money, you know. So I think the spirit of the New Testament, as indeed of the entire scriptures, is generosity. Secondly, the glory of God. We are stewards. We must be a blessing to any and everybody that we have, the marginalized especially, the people who are not included in the economy, the widow, the orphan, the foreigner, the refugee, the disabled in our kind of economies, and much more. So generosity. Why? Because we are people who know the grace of God. We don't count God's grace. We don't say 10%. No, it's more and more and more.
Every opportunity.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I think we'll end here. Bye-bye.